Hey, 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 welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Wanted to show an opening of a guy walking around, hacking up a friggin' flock camera, carrying it off. We saw that in Florida. He was messing with the security. Andrew Ziegman is here. I am Craig Pasta Jardula. This is Drive Time in the Morning. Of course, Sleepy J is there. We can see all you crazy people in the chats so nice early in the morning. Of course, our executive producer, Gabrielle Freedom, and all the other little producers like Enterman Bill, Fred Edward, all up nice and early. Let's share the show. Let's get it out there. Not really rocking on Facebook too much, but we're still there. So Andrew Ziegman, I don't know if you got a chance to see or look at or peek at. I know you got a lot going on. The debate between Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens. Did you get to hear about it at least? I mean, I think it happened last Friday, right?
I saw a couple clips of it, but it's like, I don't know. It just felt irrelevant to me, honestly. Like, it felt dumb. Like, just a few clips that I saw, it was like there was nothing that seemed productive, I guess. Like, I avoided, like, I've never watched a whole Candace Owens episode or anything. So I wasn't, like, inclined to sit down and watch it to begin with. But, yeah. But I don't know. People say she won. People say she didn't, you know.
What does it matter? All these people are fucking imperialists.
Right? It's just intellectual Olympics. That's all it is.
It's just, I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. That's it.
Right. And then the people that like her will say she won, and the people that don't like her will say she lost.
Correct.
You know?
Well, let me just say something. I'll leave you out of this, Andrew. I'm going to talk directly to my team of Sleepy J and Gabrielle. I get it that they have the I'm wrong, you're right kind of thing. We were talking before the show. But we can't let that attitude and energy get us down, right? We have to still find a way to have conversations, have respect for one another. I mean, it's still important. What do? We just kind of like walk away because it's such a shit show at times? I don't know. I think we just got to...
I save my respect for the people, not influencers. Just saying.
There's people hanging around the influencers, right?
I don't know any of these fucking people, do you?
No. I would like people to stop the whole hero worshiping behavior, but everybody's looking for a leader or a hero, and I think it's just the mentality out there, right? And I think a lot of us are telling us, hey, we can be the leaders ourselves. We can be our own hero. I think that's what's needed mostly, right? If nobody watches out for you, if you don't watch out for yourself, no one will. But I don't know. I figure we gotta figure out a way. I think that debate was an important debate. I think the way it kind of actually turned out was really shitty. I've had my own personal beef with Andrew Wilson for a while now, right? I've kind of made that known because I think that guy is probably the biggest douchebag of all the douchebags on the planet. But I am intrigued with the way people follow him or support him or listen to him, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like a case study in how we behave with one another and how do we talk to each other and how we do have that kind of mentality. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. You know, they just want to win the debate rather than be compassionate and learn something from it, right? I don't know.
I think the topic's important, right? Because they were talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Yeah. I just feel like Alex Jones said it best. I think it was on Jimmy Dore's show, where it's like whatever Candace says is Bible, because if you even correctly disagree with her or present another opinion, then you just get like chastised by the internet because the internet says Candace is always right on this stuff. You know what I mean?
Is he talking about himself though? Because he has that fucking attitude. And the way everything's left, and I'm not an Owen Schroyer guy, right? The guy who left him, he was second in command over there. You know what I'm saying? But the way he handled that whole situation, he handled it really, really fucking shitty, right? And I was like, wow, you work for this guy for how long? And he has that attitude too as well. When you try to approach him about things, he just gets in there with his gargly voice and kind of beats you back. I mean, did you see him when he was on with Sneeko? It was kind of shitty the way he was kind of like, oh God, man, we can't have a disagreement here in a conversation. He's like that himself.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Sneeko?
And well, that gets to the point of personalities getting in the way of the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like it doesn't matter if Candace is right or wrong. What matters is the way people perceive her more than the information. And even if she is wrong about some things or some facts, calling those out then makes you like, you know, a Zionist shill or what have you. You know what I mean? So I think that's the more dangerous part, is that like I think that she genuinely wants to know what happened with him, but like with Charlie's assassination.
Yeah.
But I think her personality gets in the way of other people contributing to that conversation, if that makes sense.
That's a fair assessment. And, you know, like, look, I wouldn't like to debate her on that issue because, you know, looking at it, she makes a very compelling case.
Yeah.
And
it's
at
deeply
the end
personal.
of the day, I think we all believe that our government has been lying to us and does lie to us on a regular basis. We all believe there's a possibility that it could have been Israel along with the United States that killed him. It could have been done in a different way. That's out there. But the way, like I said, I wouldn't want to debate her on that because that's something that's like I'm not too interested and concerned. If that's like old news to me. Oh, they killed somebody who was having influence on the people, somebody who could have been possibly starting to turn the screws and going, wait a second, I'm a starch supporter of Israel over here. Maybe I need to change. And whether he was changing because he was seeing that it was going to help him, benefit wise for new followers and more people who were starting to say enough is enough with that rhetoric, or he was actually seeing the light. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't put it past me that the United States government, along with Israel, they thought that was going to be their George Floyd moment, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely.
They thought it was going to be their George Floyd moment, the right, the Republicans or whatever, ruling class. No?
I mean, it like the way it played out is like, like if you said anything about Charlie Kirk, you were suddenly like having your employer fucking call you into HR because all these people called your job, dude. Like, and they bitched about the same shit like a year before that, so it was dumb.
No, well, the left did that right when they were in power. I mean, shit, we got demonetized because we were picking on AOC, right? After she wrote that letter, we got reported, taken down, demonetized. We didn't get it back until just recently, and that's a long time ago. Yeah, so each party does that. You know, they use this mechanism as a way of control and censorship and silencing people. But, you know, I think that we have to continue to have the conversations. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is that there's a clip of Nick Fuentes, Andrew Ziegman's favorite influencer. Nick Fuentes, I'm being very facetious out there, guys. Andrew does not like Nick Fuentes. I'm joking. Please. He's out there talking about what's going on. And just like Andrew Wilson, I believe that Nick Fuentes is a Fed. Andrew Wilson is a useful idiot. He actually believes his bullshit because I've met the guy before. And, you know, you meet some of those Christian fucking nationalists who believe in that shit. You know, the way you could just see in his eyes he believes in that shit. But that's just me. That's my opinion. But it's important the way people kind of get swayed with this, right? Because I think right now, the ruling class, and they have to use influencers, they have to use the internets because that's where the eyes are at. They're trying to find ways that they can move people, influence them, create a civil war, keep us divided, fighting with each other. That's what they need to maintain control of what's going on a regular basis when the shit that's happening overseas that we'll eventually get to and talk to, you know, that's what they want to do. So that's why I talk about these things right now, because I think that's the arena that we're living in, and we should be kind of analyzing it of sorts. I don't know.
I think trying to call it a George Floyd moment's right, especially with the way that it's been framed and all of that. And I think that there was a lot of people that did a good job of like intercepting that to where like it wasn't like may or may not have been some like crazy fringe blue-haired lunatic that did it, but that wasn't the only person involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they did or didn't do it, you know, whether it was a shot or a microphone or a combination of both. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's. I'm glad we avoided that situation, because now that you pointed out, I definitely think that's something that they were trying to create.
Yeah.
Was that like
Keith McHenry said that? Remember,
Yeah.
Keith McHenry.
Mhm.
Or if people out there who don't know who Keith McHenry is, and I think we've had him on before, haven't
He's
we?
one
I
of
don't know.
the.
That could have been
He's the
Truth Wire.
founder of Food Not Bombs.
Exactly.
He's literally
the
one of
founder
the few
Food Not
people in
Bombs.
the United States that the
Yeah.
federal government bars from employment, because as soon as he starts getting money, he uses it to give food to homeless people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one he was putting stuff all over his Twitter, and I was like, dude, why are you like talking? He goes, I'm so intrigued, Pasta. He goes, they really wanted this to be their George Floyd moment. The cops represented the conservatives in this country, during COVID when it came to the protest, right? Like, it's so weird because like cops were supposed to make sure that people were going along with COVID protocol, right? In New York, we saw a bunch of places of worship get raided, police show up, it was very, very interesting. But when they saw, Dale Chauvin, is that his name? Whatever his name is, I think it was, his knee on George Floyd's neck, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Forget about it. They all got crazy. And now I get it. People were bottled up. They were in their houses, but they got out into the streets in masses. And all the Democratic establishment candidates out there, even the progressive ones, right? The ones that call themselves progressives, they used that and they weaponized that and they got people in the streets angry, right? And it's like they were almost like I felt like the ruling class from the control mechanism of the left perspective in America was wielding this weapon, right? And I think they wanted to recreate that. That's why people like Andrew Wilson, people like Alex Jones, people like Tim Cast and all these other people, like, and Nick Fuentes, right? Oh, it's the left. It's your neighbor who's doing this. Did you see the clip of Nick Fuentes? Like, just talking about certain people going, oh, they laughed. They were so happy when Charlie did it, when Charlie was killed, and they were smiling and they were gloating. And yeah, there were some people out there, but that's not the majority of people. And they're trying to, cast this kind of like image on all of us, right? Like I consider myself a leftist. Am I in that group that you want to that you're pissed off of? Because I didn't say shit about Charlie. I commented about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I think it's more like the CIA DSA left that they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Well, the synthetic left.
Yeah,
definitely not me.
That's the thing, though. I know plenty of leftists, and not one of them fucking were out like celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Like, I don't. Yeah. No one. He was a young guy, dude. Like, I don't care if you like the guy or hate the guy. He had a family. Like, watching him get sniped on fucking TV it's gonna fuck up his kids and shit, man. Like, I think it's sad all around. Like, it's just, and
it's not the way we deal with things, right? But once again,
dude, I celebrate, like, the only one I've celebrated the death of recently is Kissinger, dude. Like, he's got special kind of hate. Charlie Kirk was not at that level, dude. He didn't kill millions of people. Like, it's just dumb.
And his whole thing, like, right? Kirk's whole thing was just talking to people. That was his whole shtick. Like, whether he was right or wrong, all he did was talk to people and organize people talking to people, which is literally the solution on a grassroots level to whatever thing you believe in. That is how you do it, is you organize and get people to talk to people,
Yeah.
And so I think it's more like symbolic, right? Like, to me, I saw it as like, we are ending that conversation. Like, we're not allowed to talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And when we talk about, like, all right, the woke people that kind of celebrated that's a small part of fucking society. It's the part that's highlighted by the ruling class.
Well, it was on the these are the online
conservative right wing. That's a small over the top. It's not. It doesn't represent the majority over here. It's what the stenographers in the media that work for the ruling class highlight, so then they can make blanket statements about everybody, right? This whole side, that pretty much, according to them, 50% feel this way, 50% feel that way. It's not like that. It's like 12% on one side, 12% on the other, and everybody in the middle just going, how the fuck do we get along? How do we pay bills? How do I feed my children? How do I, you know what I'm saying? That's where the majority of people are at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And that's the part about the internet that's the worst right now, is that all of these, like Facebook, for example, like hyper fixates and blows up like the I call it like the degenerate feminism, like the hyper masculine version of feminism. They blow up the woke culture and like try to make that seem like it is what everyone thinks.
Yes.
And then on the other hand of it, you have the Twitter culture and Rumble culture that tries to make it seem like everybody doesn't think that way, which is true, but then puts in like the Nick Fuenteses and things like that try to say it's the other way, where it's, I don't even think it's 12%. I literally think it's like maybe 5% total between the two groups. And everyone else just kind of goes along to get along because it's what the HR department says they have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like as soon as woke coach, like the woke era ended, almost everyone removed pronouns from their profiles. You know what I mean? Like it's not in the bottom of almost anyone's emails anymore. And not because it is or isn't important, but because it wasn't an organic thing, right? It was like imposed culture, essentially. It was like a pseudo-Marxism.
It was just another divisive tactic, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are things within society that kind of lead us to that, right? Like there is a whole kind of like, all right, it's America, Christian values, you know what I'm saying? Anybody outside that shit, right, gets a little bit like, you know, the reason why pronouns came about a thing because in the 60s and the 70s, gay kids were getting their asses kicked all over the fucking place and weren't respected. That's why it happened. So there is a little truth in the, like, it's been weaponized and overblown. And we see that today, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a situation with when it comes to, for, you know, the way the conservative movement in this country treats immigrants, right? It's like, you know, like, no, you guys have to fucking stop, right? Like, you're going way over the top. You're being way awful now. You're being very biased. So, you know, I mean, I know, like, you know, and then, you know, these idiots on the left are like, oh, my God, that person's racist. And they weaponize the shit. So I get it. But there is a little truth into the reasons why these things are happening. And I got to tell you right now, the most disappointing thing for me right now, and I guess this is why I'm more, you know, when people watch my original video on Pasta to Go, when they saw it on WBAI, they thought I was a Republican because I was so anti-Biden, right, anti-democratic, whatnot. Now I'm kind of swinging the other way, right? Now people hear me talking about the right wing, like I was talking about it before the show. Like, because I wanted to say, like, everybody in the independent media world on the right wing is full of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Every single fucking one of them, right? They're bullshit. I could start naming off names and stuff because those are the ones in power right now. And those are the ones I think we have to talk about the things when the federal government, I mean, why do we have flock cameras? Because we have this Republican conservative, tough on crime mentality. And then it matriculates down to, well, yeah, I know it's against our constitutional rights, but we got to stop the immigrant. We got to stop the black man. We got to, you know what I'm saying? We got to stop the minority. We got to start the criminal. This is what happens when this shit is fucking overplayed.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that.
Please.
I think the flock cameras would have been this way no matter who was in office, honestly. And it was coming regardless.
Well, why did it explode under Trump?
Because the access to the technology and the companies that were doing it. Because I remember like when LA probably in like the early 2000s started doing automated license plate readers, because they were, at least to my knowledge, like the information.
Yeah, I was in California at the time. It was like that everywhere in California.
And they were like one of the first cities to bring it in. And it was before like AI and before like all of this, but
way before.
There was the conversations back then about like, this is everyone's guilty now, but it wasn't so pervasive. And I think so Tucker Carlson did an interview with a police officer who ended up quitting because the flock cameras, he just said like, these are a blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment, and ended up getting fired from his departments.
Yes.
And to him, he said police officers want the flock cameras as revenge against the public for the body cameras, because every cop 10 years ago didn't have a body cam. That wasn't a thing. That's a new invention as far as like small town police and even in most major cities. And so I don't really think it's like this left versus right, like fight the criminals or fight the immigrants or what have you. It's police officers largely saying like, you put a camera on my chest and now I have to be accountable for every single thing I do throughout the day. And I'm a person, that's hard. So as revenge for that, they put cameras up to watch all of us. So we now have to have that same level of like, I don't want to call it like professional accountability, but that same level of like surveillance applied to us.
Well, they can go fuck all the way off, right? They're working for us. That I'm glad if that's how they feel, they can still go doubly screw off. And
I think the technology just needed to catch up, and it just happened.
Technology for cameras has been out there for a long time.
But
not exactly.
The integration, because it's basic, like those aren't even really cameras. Like we call them cameras, but they're smartphones. That's all that is like a shitty smartphone. It has a little bit of internal storage. It has like the same RFID readers that our phones have, that same NFC fields, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi connections. It's literally a tiny smartphone. And that technology has become so inexpensive that I think that's what really enabled it. Like there's obviously the Predator class's push to like create the Panopticon.
Also, they needed 5G in place everywhere to even have that shit usable.
Yeah.
That is true. But once again, and I get that. And you're saying the technology has now finally got to a point where they can put these out there with ease and run these, whatever. And you're absolutely right on that. But you're not going to convince me that what is done, and this has been going on, and Bob from Atlantis put it out there, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Cause and effect. It was time for Donald Trump to come in here, right, and do this stuff because it was set up for that way. And I am making that exact point. But I'm also saying that the reason why they go back and forth between this, Obama, Democrat, how you doing there, Joe Biden, these Donald Trump, the reason why they do that is because each one is there, put in place to sway their part of the public to go along with things, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're in a hearing and the Democrats put up this woman and the senator asked the woman, can a man have a baby? And she says, fucking yes. You get a lot of Democrats, like literally, right? Well, maybe it's possible in science that they do these surgeries. And it's like, no, you're just going along because your team is saying this shit. That's what's happening with the flock cameras right now. You've got this tough on crime mentality conservatives that are going, okay, well, it's the same thing that happened with the fucking Patriot Act. Yeah, I get it infringes on our civil liberties and gives warrantless surveillance over us. But, Al-Qaeda, they're doing the same thing now, but going the immigrant.
Oh, yeah, they always have a convenient excuse.
And this is the craziness I had when I was and I'm going to fucking bash on a show right now. Union of the Unwanted. On Mondays, I go on it. The conspiracy theory group leans more to the right. They're anti-socialists, a lot of them right now. Then I'm not going to say they're Republicans, but they lean towards the right. They're sitting there and they're trying to say, well, let's look at the benefits of Donald Trump in there. The good versus bad, the mitigating of the damage of sorts. That's not the way it is. They use one fucking side to set up the next side. So that means that all sides are bad. All sides are fucking bad, but you got to call out what's happening when it's happening. And right now, this right-wing Christian tough on crime movement is what's allowing the fucking us to continually bomb fucking Iran on a regular basis because they're Muslims. It's allowing us to put up flock cameras, and there's not enough pushback because it's the tough on crime mentality. And when the left gets back in, here will come all the woke bullshit. It's one side setting up the other, but you cannot tell me that the populism or the voters or the whatever you want to fucking call it, the people of the United States right now they're not helping build their own fucking digital prisons. They are.
And like I would like, it's just me from always my perspective, but like look at how like Trump arrested Julian Assange, right? It was his administration, his CIA. He promoted Pompeo for doing it to Secretary of State. And all of the people now that are coming out, like the Alex Jones and the Owen Schroyers and things that are like, oh, Trump's bad. He got us into this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like you can look back historically and say like, he did it then too. Like what difference is it then? Right? Like ICE has had a journalist in detention for 300 days, right? Without charge, literally has just detained a journalist. And What difference is it if it's Julian Assange that's been illegally detained or this local reporter that was trying to cover ICE in their local area, right? And even like the war in Iran, like I remember when we blew the fuck out of Syria because there was a chemical gas attack that was literally a staged event. Like you had the lady smelling the book bag. Do you remember that back in the day?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it smells like chemical weapons, right? And so we blew the fuck out of Syria. And people back then justified it because of QAnon. And they were like, it was just missiles. You know, all we did was shoot some missiles. Like, that's all we're doing in Iran. And look at how the fuck it turned out. Like, so that's the part that frustrates me is the people that like we, like you and me and Josh and like our crews were trying to reach back then to say like, hey, this is bad. Let's stop this now. Right. Are the ones that got Trump elected in the first place, like largely like built that coalition. And then now they're like, oh, this was a mistake. You know, like, oh, he's doing all
They
of that
were cheering these motherfucker. They were cheering the son of a bitch at stadiums. They saw Trump. They were going crazy. Now they're booing him. And the only reason why I'm saying we need to discuss this, and Lady Alex in the chat, I know, I get it. Like, why are we even playing this red versus left game, this right versus blue? Well, you know, it's the same reason when I show up to a James Fishback event, I know people think in a tribal mentality, so you have to meet them where they're at. You can't just ignore that, right? I have to acknowledge that you look at yourself as a conservative Christian and you want to vote for James Fishback for these reasons. Well, let's talk about that, right? So that's why I call myself a leftist libertarian and stuff, is because when I go into these spaces, I get that you already have this kind of football mentality there, but how do we think independently and see what the hell is coming in front of us? Because here's the next thing. What is the left going to be coming with in the next 4 years when they run their person and whatnot? You know what I'm saying? What are they going to use? What are they going to do?
They're going to have Gavin Newsom and AOC and maybe Bernie Sanders on the debate stage, right? That's going to be who they run.
Pete Buttigieg will be there too. You got to get a gay person.
Yeah. Maybe even a black lesbian, like that's important. Yes. Mix that up in there. So maybe like the old press secretary or something. And it'll literally be conversations about absolutely nothing. It'll literally be circle talking about ideological issues that literally don't matter to anyone. They'll get elected and they'll just all continue doing the same thing. And like, I'm just glad that there was like that Obama moment on the right now, right? Because like the left had their Obama moment when Obama was like, oh, we tortured some folks when he evaded like 5 other countries. You know what I mean?
7.
We tortured some folks.
It was 7.
Yeah, 7. When the mask just straight came off, right? And it wasn't everybody, but like you go back and like the DSA, those people will tell you like, you know, Obama was better than Trump. You know, if we had Obama again, at least it wouldn't be Trump. And the problem is we have to break.
We have Trump because of Obama.
Right. We have to break the mentality of like this person's better than that person because they're not this person. You know what I mean? And we have to like, I try to just treat everyone in those positions the same. Because I don't think that there's a Democrat and Republican party. I think that there's 2 flavors of Coca-Cola. You know, it's Coke and Pepsi. It's all the same ingredients.
Yeah.
It's all the same things. It's still going to kill you.
So like in real life, I don't even ask who people vote for, if they're Republican, Democrat. I just have conversations with them.
But like I could see like you're talking about like going to the fishback events, which I think is awesome. Like I think he's relatively genuine. I don't think he's a perfect person, but I think that he's at least making a space for people to have these opinions, because he's also opposed like the Florida censorship laws about Israel and arresting students in Florida and deporting them because they supported Israel. And
but unfortunately his episode of Surrounded came out and you saw that he was kind of pandering and bullshit, and he was talking about the first Jewish state and his language was there. And don't get me wrong, the guy said he got a lot of attention because he said he's going to ban all flock cameras and no data centers whatsoever. And those are things, but those are opportunities I see, right, where we can unite and we can have conversations. Yeah, but absolutely. You know, he made a comment about black on black crime, and I went and questioned him on that shit and stuff. And people saw, they knew I was different. I said, this could be the reason there's no diversity at your events. And he turned around to look like, what are you talking about? And then he turned around to look, and he didn't see any black people. He kind of turned back and like, yeah, he's kind of fucking right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw one black person in pictures at 5 events he did, you know, and it was pretty amazing because like he did like 26 events in 2 days.
Do you remember Trump's pitch to the black voters in Florida? Do you remember like his exact words? He was doing an event in Florida, and he was talking about how could it get like, how could it be like these people have already failed you, and that was his pitch, is like your schools haven't been better, like you have already been failed by the Democratic Party. Like as black people, they have already failed you. They are not failing you. You have failed because of them, you know, and that's not incorrect, right? Because every inner city is run by Democrats, and every inner city has garbage schools, garbage infrastructure. There may be some that have like halfway decent transportation, but it's still just trash. You know what I mean? So I think that that for him to get more support from like minority communities in particular, he needs to make a pitch like that. Like DeSantis has already failed you. Fucking Debbie Wasserman Schultz has already failed you.
Well, no, Fishback was like, if DeSantis can run for another term, I wouldn't be running. He's the greatest whatchamacallit going on. And when I asked him about socialism and the economics, he said, I'm going to fix the H-1B visa problem. Like, once again, it's like, it's the same old boring. That argument comes from the right and the left in this country. They're going to save you money on your bills. It's like, well, how are we going to get new jobs? How are we going to get innovation? How do we change the system, right? Because NAFTA fucked it up. How do we fix this problem over here? Like, they don't want to talk about that. They always want to say, well, this problem with this and this and that, we'll fix that. We'll lower your bills. If lowering your bills is your economic plan, you're not addressing, you know,
and it's always the anti-socialist people that want to use government to solve economic problems. Like, that's the part that makes me mad, right? Is you don't have somebody standing up there being like, the solution to this is just to get government out more, right? Like, remove government from these problemed areas.
It's not like they're doing any good.
Right. Right. And so like even the people that are like, oh, socialism's bad, but we're going to use government to lower your bills and increase your wages. Like that.
And we're going to bail out a bunch of fucking failing companies. Woo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so like to me, that's the part that really like always confused me, is like the people that are anti-socialist are the same ones that are like, we're going to make jobs. Like that's like, do you understand? Like those two sentences aren't compatible, you know?
So I'm going to play this again since Andrew didn't hear this and stuff. So I'm going to do the question about socialism, right? And I had respect for the campaign the guy ran, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, he showed back up on Surrounded with Destiny. Him and Andrew Wilson were in the same room together. They got the same a lot of saying. And I see a lot of the divide and conquer in this shit and stuff like that. But what you're talking about, and guys, if you want to call on in, 561-247-2721, 561-247-2721. Everybody's trying to do the call-in thing now, Andrew. They're copying us, right? They're doing it now because they want to bring it to the people. We want to bring it to you. And I see a lot of stuff going on in the chat. If you want to bring it over here, Bob from Atlantis, if you want to talk, buddy, get some stones and give us a call, and let's work this out over here on the phones. We love you, brother. We love all the people watching on YouTube. We love all the people watching on Rumble. If you're not, there's nobody watching on Facebook, but if there was somebody watching on Facebook, we would love you too. We're here with Andrew Ziegman. It's Friday. Give us a call, 561-247-2721. Here you go, Andrew. This is the second question I asked him that day.
Well, I asked James, I gave him a choice of which question he wanted: immigration, economy, socialism, Charlie Kirk. He chose socialism. Okay, so you've made some comments, like a lot of conservatives do, kind of pushing back against communism, socialism, but I consider myself to be a collectivist. I want to see social programs that help people. In Florida, there's a ton of social programs like Medicaid, Medicare that really help people out. How do you plan on squaring that circle as far as keeping those programs or maybe adding more programs that might help somebody and saying it's not socialism or sticking to capitalism? Because a lot of times when conservatives get in office, they want to cut. And a lot of people don't want their Medicaid or Medicare cut.
So social programs, while well-intended, create dependency on government that can then take that program away from you at any given moment. I do not want that. The way to help people is not through government social programs. It's by letting them help themselves, put more money in their pocket, have them have great paying jobs, support housing, and actually let this generation use capitalism to their benefit.
Okay, I got to stop right there so we can break that down.
And
because
that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? So you're like, hey, we have all these social programs, people like them, and he's like, socialism's bad, so we need to use the government to have people make more money. Like that's the thing that like that is socialism. And
yeah, he said support housing. I'm like, in that socialism right there. Like he kind of slipped it in.
Like, to me, if he was like not that he's not like not honest or what have you, I don't want to like put that in his mouth, but like the solution there to those government-run social programs is you take the money that is being spent on those programs and you move it into the nonprofit space, right? So it shouldn't be Florida Medicaid. It should be a nonprofit for citizens in Florida that need health insurance, because the profit's the largest expenditure of any company, right? The money that they scrape off the top to give to shareholders. Because Medicaid isn't the insurance company. The insurance company is Molina or Blue Cross Blue Shield or all of these other corporations that take the Medicaid money, make 30 to anywhere from 5 to 30% profit, and then pay the medical expenses. So the solution as like a final act of socialism is to say, okay, Molina, if you're going to accept money from Medicaid, you're now a nonprofit. Okay, hospital, if you're going to accept money from Medicaid, you're now a nonprofit. Because when you remove the profit motive, you can then create change that actually benefits people, right? Like all of these companies that like, for example, it's the difference between.
Well, we have a caller calling, so we have to get to that caller. So hold that thought, because I do want to push back on that, because I am one of those people who is for a national healthcare system, because I even believe a shitty healthcare system is better than no healthcare system at all. And we'll talk about that, because that's a whole different discussion. Because I know where you are on dependency for the government. I'm not for a UBI, but I am for a nationalized social healthcare program. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Roger, New Jersey.
Roger, what's going on? Roger Dodger, is it your first time calling the morning show?
No, second time. Hey, listen, guys, we already have socialism. Aren't you aware? Don't you remember 2008 when Obama bailed out the banks?
Mm-hmm.
It's socialism.
It's just not the socialism that people want.
Oh, but it is socialism, just for the wrong people, I guess.
And that's
socialism for the rich.
And that's my argument against it.
Guys, here's the thing. $40 trillion debt, and the Treasury Secretary is trying to kind of put a block in the dam that's about to break. He did that with recently with Japan, and now buying back our own Treasury bonds. It's like paying off a credit card with a credit card. This stuff ain't gonna last.
So,
absolutely.
What is your thoughts? Do you think, though? All right, so we thought we have socialism for the rich, whatnot. Should we have? Because we haven't even gotten to the Luigi Mangione stuff. Okay, I don't give a shit what you tell me. I get it. Luigi didn't call me. I didn't encourage Luigi to go shoot Rob Thompson, the CEO. Right? If he did call me, I'd probably try to talk him out of it, but he did do it, right? And we see a lot of these memes. That guy, for that company, he was the head of that company, denied more claims that killed more people. In America, we have about 300 people a day that die from rejected claims from the insurance. Roger Dodger calling in from New Jersey. Do you believe, and I got to fix that there, do you believe we should have a national healthcare system?
Absolutely. Just like that country in the Middle East, where we send hundreds of billions annually.
Are you talking about Israel?
I'm not mentioning any names, guys. I don't want to be accused of.
I got you. I did it for you. I get it. Well, we pay for their health care. If we're picking up the tab, we should be able to gloat about it. No,
it's not even just
guys,
Israel, right?
It's a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like I was going to say, all of Europe, their entire social structure, like their governments, all of their health services, all of their like daycare and retirement services are subsidized by the United States. because they don't have to spend anything on their own national defense or anything like that. We are the military of Europe. Europe has been under occupation since the end of World War II by the United States. Nobody really says it like that. But all of these grand social programs over there wouldn't exist if they had to pay for them themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh, what are you, one of those America First guys saying that we shouldn't have 750 military bases in over 80 countries? It's a question of resource allocation, guys.
Roger just found the money for you, Andrew.
The head of a household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roger just found the money for you.
Yeah. And you got, you're the head of the household. You have, say, 3 or 4 young kids, the wife, and you have a certain amount of money, but you spend it on drinking, drugs, gambling, buying guns, getting into fights. This is the status of what we're dealing with. You know, it's
absolutely.
You know, like they say, don't confuse the simplicity of the solution with the complexity of the problem. It is a simple solution.
Yeah, and that's why I think a nonprofit network for like just a national health service would be the solution. Like you remove it from the hands of government, you can keep the same mechanisms from, because like payroll for people is how these programs get funded technically, right? Like that's the story everyone believes. Payroll services by law are required to withhold money and transfer it to the federal government. So why couldn't you just pass laws that say, hey, you know, this same tax is going to apply, but we're going to create a national nonprofit health network of hospitals and insurance companies. And you keep like the existing Blue Crosses and Blue Shields and what have you for the time, because they'll eventually go bankrupt as more and more people move over into the nonprofit space for it. Like my child goes to a nonprofit hospital and it is the highest quality of care we've ever received. And we've gone to a for-profit hospital for one thing, and it literally turned into a disaster, like a medical disaster that took like 18 months to resolve, because the for-profit hospitals have conversations about maximizing the money that comes out of like the cancer treatment centers. And the not-for-profit hospitals have conversations about maximizing patient care, because an MRI still costs $13,000. You know what I mean?
In a nonprofit?
Yeah, at a nonprofit.
So where does that money go?
That money goes back into patient treatment, right? There is portion, like there's a board of directors.
I'm gonna push back, man. You can go get these tests and pay out of pocket, and it's like $1,000 or $2,000. So they're all over inflating the fucking prices to begin with.
Right, but when a nonprofit can leverage an insurance company to pay the same amount, like to get paid the same amount, and then not use it to pay shareholders, there can be a lot more good that's done. Like I've had this hospital like literally pay bills for me for like 3 months when I wasn't able.
But you got a huge problem there, by the way. I don't want to. I mean,
Right.
it's $13,000 for an MRI.
But
That's the
standard.
number one cause of bankruptcy in America is from medical bills. So we have to fix that problem too.
Yeah, but why is that the problem? It's because of the for-profit motive that exists. And not that this hospital, you know, is 100% perfect on everything. Like they still charge the same amount as these other places, but it is like just from my personal experience, it is the solution that we don't know exists yet. Right. And that's why I push so hard for like the idea of a nonprofit healthcare system.
I get that, but there's still a huge problem. It's $13,000 to get a procedure. People can't afford that, so they're not going to get that done. How do we fix that
when
problem?
I show up with my pay stub or my lack thereof, and they say, okay, we're going to cover 99.8% of this cost because it can be eaten by the people whose insurance companies we can bill, then that's, you know, like we don't technically have to pay anything for it if we can't. And that's the whole idea of a
So there is still government intervention. The government's saying you can't make profit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is some form of.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely. I think it should have a board of directors that oversee the quality of care and make sure the institution itself doesn't go bankrupt, right? But there shouldn't be someone that's like, I just made $10 million from all of this money that's being passed around between the government and health insurance companies. Because the reason it can be that expensive is because the government pays for it. You know?
Roger, what do you think? Are you down to listen to that? There.
Here's what I think. Good points. But let's think of the hospital as the auto repair shop. And I go back to my analogy of the head of the household. Let's call him Sam, Uncle Sam. Now, he's got a pickup truck, but instead of putting gasoline in, he throws a little sewer water in there. He doesn't bother changing the oil, runs the tires flat, and then all of a sudden he's got a $100,000 bill to repair this thing. So it's the same thing with the healthcare system. People are putting garbage in their bodies, sugar, alcohol, trash food, and then why are we like the unhealthiest of the developed nations? So it's all about prevention. It's common sense, guys. Take care of our own first. Stop starting wars when they're illegal and unnecessary. No material support for genocide. Clean up our own house. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely.
Those are some great points, Roger. And
like to the junk food point, you can take your government money EBT card, walk into a gas station, and buy all of the garbage that they sell except the actual prepared food, right? Like you can't buy the hot prepared food with it, but you can go and buy your fucking bag of like shit chips and your fucking candy bars and your sodas. But like, God forbid someone wants to buy a warm sandwich. You know what I mean? And then when someone says like, hey, you probably shouldn't let people buy garbage food, right? Like if you could buy fruits, vegetables, meats, and dairy products with your EBT cards, people would have a fucking fit, because they've developed that dependency on government to fuel the addiction that they have to these garbage foods.
Roger, thank you so much for calling in, buddy. I love it when you do, man.
Thank you, guys. Great show.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate it. We have another caller in the queue. Look, there are problems. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, like, maybe I don't articulate it the best about how, like, healthcare systems should be nonprofit, but I think that would make such a seismic impact in the way people interact with their healthcare systems, because you wouldn't have claims denied anymore. You would have doctors that work for a nonprofit institution that say, hey, my
it's still the government's intervening in some ways. The government is playing a part by saying you cannot make a profit, right, in a capitalist society. And people think that, like, I'm an anti-capitalist of sorts. I'm like, no, I just don't know what that word actually means, because you guys say free markets or that, and I love markets. Like, I love the fact that in Nicaragua, they built all these roads and added to their transportation and buses and all this other things and stuff. And now people are zipping around and markets are opening up. There's a guy who has a motorcycle and a cooler, and he goes down to, San Juan del Sur, picks up certain lobsters, puts them in a cooler, and, hits the motorcycle 3 hours to get back to the next closest town around, right? Because now he can move stuff around because there's roads. And now he's selling lobsters 3 hours away from him, and he can do that now. He's created a bit. I love that. There's something beautiful about that, right? Absolutely. Like, I love markets, but I mean, I don't know.
I just don't
get this caller. It's been ringing for 2 minutes.
Let's do that. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Bob from Atlantis.
Bob from Atlantis. How you doing, Bob? I called you out, so you called in. Thank you so much.
That's right. That's right.
Where are you at, though?
I just wanted to put... Oh, I'm at Eastern Tennessee.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
Appalachia. We say Appalachia down here. You go north a bit, they start calling it Appalachia. No, I just wanted to put a different. I just wanted to put a different idea out there. I'm more for like self medication, or you got that smart guy in your family, or a doctor in a doctor that or somebody that studied medicine and a little bit but didn't go into the field. He can help you out with what you need. 20 years ago, I was renting a cabin from a doctor friend of mine. I told him about a tick bite that I had that, went a little long before I caught it. And then I was feeling really lethargic, and I just asked him, it's like, hey, should I take this? He said, yeah. So I was able to order it from Canada. They shipped it in my mailbox, and I took some antibiotics, and I was fine. Like, it was great. I don't know if it was Rocky Mountain spotted fever or if it was Lyme disease, but I treated it essentially myself with a little advice from a friend. I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't pay $100 to go to the clinic. I didn't pay these outrageous prices. It was like $50, you know. Like, if we could just get government out of the regulation of things and allow people to help themselves.
But it's not just
a lot
that.
of people with the information we have. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's that on a small scale for like if you have a basic injury or something that, like if you have a cough or a cold, you should be able to just go get a Z-Pack. You know what I mean? Like if you're in some terrible situation like where your sinuses are just gunked up, you should be able to go and talk to the pharmacist, the person who knows the actual medicines, and say like, hey, what do I need? And that pharmacist say, okay, this will work, and still keep it in a controlled environment. Like, don't have all of the medicines right on the shelf, but talk to that person who's employed by a company to help people pick medicine, and have them be able to be like, here, you know, like you got some sinus issues, you're really congested, you're messed up. Here's a Z-Pack. This will help.
Let me jump in, because I think this is, you know, because Bob from Eastern Tennessee is calling in. Guys, if you want to call in,
I'm gonna get some
561
coffee real quick. I can still
247-2721. Take his shot down, make me big until he comes back. Thank you so much.
I mean,
Andrew,
that
crying out
that
loud.
does work for smaller stuff, but like I have some
What
serious
what
shit
works
wrong
for
with
smaller
me
stuff?
like what he's talking about, you know, having a
Bob.
kind of small. But if you have a serious thing, like you can't just go to your friendly doctor.
Let me jump in.
I've had like
get you.
15 blood clots. I can't just go like ask my friend for help.
No, I get that. You're in a situation where you need serious medicine. Look, and I was sick when I was sick last year. And by the way, thank you to Fred Edward out there, dude. This stuff is really, I think, really improving. And it was one of those situations because, you know, I'm all over the place, but let me get grounded now that Andrew's here. Here's the problem when we're talking about what's going on with Bob from Tennessee. And the reason why I hold elections to be so important is that I want to make sure we can hire the right people and fire the right people. And I do believe there are civil servants out there who would fight for things that are beneficial for the people. Our elections have been bought off and gained for so long that big corporations pretty much run them. And the major corporations, big tech, military-industrial complex, big pharma, have pretty much everybody inside Congress and the Senate level and the congressional level under control. They don't want these other things to come into play because they want to make money in our system set up for profit, something that Andrew had talked about. If we were starting from the ground up and we had an election system where we can hire people, fire people, right, that will go in there and do something, we'd have to smash this whole healthcare system and start over from scratch. Do you know the reason why they're now starting to, at the hospitals, look inside the stomach, right? Because functional medicine would focus on it. Chinese medicine would focus on it. Western medicine never really looked at your stomach, your gut, your second brain, right? So their solutions to all these people having eczema out there or psoriasis and whatnot is to lower your immune system, keep you on their drugs the whole time. We're going to tinker with your immune system. So instead of going to find the problem within your stomach that's triggering your immune system to say something's going wrong, we're just going to fuck with the immune system. But if we were able to scrap the whole system, and that what Bob is talking about, the way he called his friend, but that was already available in a new and improved good healthcare system that actually also talked about our diet, our food, that stuff, what's making us sick. We had because it's so ridiculous that we don't really have the best healthcare system in the world because it is for profit and it's controlled by these situations. But in a make-believe world where we, the people, are getting what we deserve, why would we want to collectively move away from buying drugs cheap together? That's what a universal healthcare system does. When you have the power to buy for the majority, we can pass those benefits and those savings on to the people. Why wouldn't we do that? Why would we walk away? And we'll give Bob the first word on this. Why would we walk away from a system if we could have a system like that? Why would we walk away from that? Why would we say, government's too awful, we can't let them get involved, so we don't need a healthcare system, so we can't collectively use our buying power to get nice things for us? Why should we walk away from that?
I think you're exactly right that the way the government and the medical establishment work together is working against us. Cory Booker, so I used to be able to buy antibiotics from Canada, and they were extremely cheap. American antibiotics cost 100 times more than they cost the manufacturer, because the government steps in and says, no, you're not allowed to buy outside of the American marketplace. You have to buy the overpriced drugs. I think it was Cory Booker that was pushing for the legislation, half a lifetime ago.
Yes. But don't you think, Bob? And Bob, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to keep you right there with your thought. So you're saying, all right, Cory Booker's fighting so that we can buy those drugs from Canada, and that's the problem. I'm saying the fact that our drugs are 5 times the cost is the problem itself, and we need to fix that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Bob.
Cory Booker made sure that we're not allowed to buy them cheaply. Like, he's driving up the cost for the American consumer, and he's saying we just need to, it's out of protection. It's because, we care for you. We want you to have safety standards that they don't have in Canada, I suppose. Or we want you to make sure you go to your doctor and pay a bunch of money to your doctor so that you can write the prescriptions, that you can, they're getting rid of all the loopholes that allow people to get medicine. And
why is that medicine so expensive in the United States to begin with, Bob?
Because it's textbook fascism. It's because the health insurance companies lobbied the government, or it's like reverse fascism, right? The health insurance companies lobbied the government to get more profit. The cycle continue. Mussolini would be very.
So why can't we reverse engineer that? Why can't we say, as the people, we demand that you don't give any protections or any love or any help to these insurance companies if they don't lower their prices? If we don't get the same drugs for the same price that they get in fucking Canada, then they get no protections. Same thing that I'm saying for big tech. Big tech, right? Wait, big tech is protected. I'll hand it to you 1 second. Big tech is protected by the government. Section 220 of the NDAA says they are protected liability. I can't sue YouTube directly. Well, if they're getting that privilege, they should have a completely transparent open source system, because they're getting that protection from the government. They just do things backwards, and we need to be demanding that if they get help from the government, they help the people, because we are the government.
Well, so the reason it costs 5 times more to buy these drugs, 10 times more, 1,000 times more,
price gouging,
is because of the profit motive, right? So if you remove that and say, hey, Mr. Pharmaceutical Company, we've paid the universities to do the research to make these drugs. We've paid for the infrastructure for you to build them. You're now nonprofit. You are now not a government institution, but you are now a public institution. Like, you exist solely to make these medicines that serve the public good. Our universities here in the United States, for better or worse, are the ones that create these drugs. There are not many pharmaceutical companies that are revolutionizing medicine. It is institutions that are already publicly funded that create the medicines that then get patented by these corporations and then sold for crazy prices. So you just say you are no longer a corporation, you're a nonprofit. You exist to make medicine, not to make money from medicine.
Well, I think the argument will be is that they would cease to exist, and the government would have to create that company that themselves.
Yeah,
because these companies don't want to exist.
Good, we fund the development of the drugs. Why not?
I agree. That's called socialized medicine.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but it doesn't create the situation like under COVID, where the Supreme Court said, like, you can't tell every hospital what to do. You can only tell hospitals what to do that accept Medicaid funding. Right? Yeah. Like, if they take money from Medicaid, you can dictate what policies that hospital has. And so I think it's that part of the agreement between government and medicine that needs to be removed, that creating a nonprofit solves. Because, like, COVID for me shows the problems with socialized medicine, right? And that was something that, like, we can't forget those lessons.
The biggest problem, and Bob from Eastern Tennessee is calling on in, guys. If you want to call in and be like Bob, be like Bob.
Be like
561-247-2721. That's 561-247-2721. Bob's like one of my favorite peeps. He doesn't know that, because Bob's not afraid to give the criticism when it's deserved, I think. Or, I don't know if it's deserved, but nonetheless, Bob will give the criticism, but then he'll also give the praise. That's why I like Bob. But go ahead, Bob. you can jump into this conversation. I don't know if it's a conversation about socialized medicine or how do we get there or how do we become healthier or what it is. I don't know what this conversation's become, but I'm glad you called on it.
Yeah, so man, I used to love this show from the '90s, Sliders, where they would like transport between universe. They would go to different Americas, the different realities. You know, jump to other alternate universes. And I can't find it. I can't find it anywhere these days. But one of my favorite quotes from it was Professor Arcturo, I think his name was. He says, "No matter what America we visit, the healthcare system always sucks." And
That's an old ass show too.
Yeah. And it's been true for generations. And every time the government comes in to fix it, whether it's Obamacare or, whatever, it gets.
But Obamacare wasn't about fixing it. It was about Obamacare was what is mandated insurance. It's not health care. They just propping up the same fucking system.
It just keeps getting worse every time they come in to fix it. And it was terrible before Obamacare. It was too expensive and too low quality. And then it's just going to keep getting worse no matter what. I don't think government, there's just too much money. There's too much corruption. I have so little faith. I'm so cynical at this point. I mean, maybe you can talk me out of my cynicism, but I'm just at this point, there are so many people who get injured in car accidents who really need medical attention. And when the ambulance shows up, they say, "No, I can't afford it. Go away." And it's just terror. It's heartbreaking.
The number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States is medical debt.
Yeah.
I know so many people who were, dead very young because of our shitty medical system, including my mother and one of my best friends.
On a very personal note.
Because it's not, the medical system's not for us, and Andrew can talk that this is for the profit people. It's for profit, and that's why he uses the term nonprofit, because that's the problem itself. Go ahead, Andrew, get the last word, and we got to say goodbye to Bob and get to the next caller. We have a queue here, and I'm going to go get some coffee. You're watching Drive Time. Go ahead, Andrew.
Just on a personal story, my mom passed away 18 months ago. It was December 2024, and the reason she passed away is because she used up all of her rehab time. They treated physical rehabilitation, the health insurance company treated physical rehabilitation the same as you would treat a rental car for your car insurance company. And we tried everything. We literally had multiple doctor's offices say this is life or death for her. She cannot survive if she is not in a home to get physical therapy to then be able to continue life after she is recovered. And they literally said, nope, she used up all of her physical therapy time. You can do at-home PTO or at-home physical therapy 2 to 3 times a week, and that's the best that we're going to pay for. Otherwise, you have to pay literally it was $80,000 a month to put her into a rehab center. And there's, no matter how we did anything, we could sell our house and we would afford 1 month of physical rehabilitation, right? So I understand on a very deep personal animosity that it is the health insurance companies more than anything that kills the patients, because they're the ones that say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, your
needs to be
like a car.
There is this attitude that government fucks it up, so no government involved. And what I see is the corporation still dictating everything, that we have no choice, right? We have to be the government and we have to call the shots. But that's why I'm so into elections, because we need a mechanism in which we can hire and fire the right people. If we have real elections, we can get real civil servants and we can change this mother effer. Bob, I love you. Thank you for calling in, brother.
Thanks for letting me call in.
Always, brother. I know I bust your chops, but I do love you, brother.
Likewise.
I appreciate you. I
So
know you do.
Bob.
just a quick aside. When my friend Tom died, it was right after his 30th birthday of cancer, right? And his dad came over to my house just after he died, and he was just super upset. And he showed me his son's bill for his last hospital bill, over $2 million fucking dollars, dude. Over $2 million. How the fuck a 30-year-old's just gonna come up with that? This profit shit's gotta go. All right, let's grab this call.
Let's do it.
Where are you calling from?
Hello, it's Wesley from Florida. And I wasn't going to call, but Andrew's got the blood clot issue. And
No, that's me.
I was
Sleepy's got the blood clot issues, and no, I have not been vaccinated. It's a genetic thing.
no. I'm just making certain you're not eating any meat products that use like the coagulants in them, because like especially like the beef hot dogs and whatever, where they put the pig pork protein A.
Actually,
in,
what I
which is
have to mostly avoid is really dark greens. Like anything with a lot of vitamin K is real bad for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, be careful with those other coagulants, because a lot of times the beef sausages, the beef ends up dilates the stomach lining to make more things able to penetrate. And then if you have the coagulant at the same time, you're absorbing coagulants into your bloodstream. So
Yeah.
Well, good thing
Can
beef's
I say
expensive as
something,
shit, and
Wesley?
I can't afford it.
Here's the thing. No, the problem is that there's all this crap and metals and everything they spill, put into the fucking air, and you're breathing that shit in, and that's not good for your blood flow. But you can't avoid air because you need that to breathe. The shit that's in the water that's killing you, whatnot, because corporations have been able to do whatever the hell they got to do, filling it with fluoride, pissing and dirty, and oil spill into it like that. But you can't avoid the water because you need water to drink. So what has to change is everything around us, right? And I don't think it's benefiting us anymore to back away from saying, government this, government that. It's like, no, we got to get the government under control. I don't believe the anarchist, libertarian, walk away from it, let the natural market forces work itself out, are going to work. We either change the power structure to make it work for us, or we all die, and we all die slowly.
Yeah. And I'd like to speak on that, because one of the factors is that, and this was like 2020 that I checked this out during COVID, but it was 17% of the GDP of America is healthcare. And if we're looking at the expenses of people who are, of the pregnant, the injured, the sick, and the dying as a product. And the problem is we can't, because it's not. But the problem is, if you switch that 17% from a profit to the expense side, then you've switched the whole GDP of the U.S. government by 30% or 32% or 34%, and that affects the value of the dollar. And so
they can't borrow as much money to bomb people then.
Yeah. Well, and of course, our insurance companies are backed by Lloyd's of London, and so it's also money going to Lloyd's, because we have to pay a different insurance company in another country to back our insurance company.
Dude, insurance inception? That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Where's Leonardo DiCaprio when you need him?
I'll leave you on that subject. You guys are sticking with the medical, so I mean, I could talk about a lot of different stuff. But
let me ask you a question, Wesley. Realistically, let's play make-believe. If we, the people, are done and we're fed up, what's the number one thing we have to do today, I think, to stop the government from doing what they're doing? If we're going to reverse polarity of this shit, if we're going to change the power structure, what's the first thing we do? What's the first thing we can do right now without being in control to put our government in check and say no more?
We have to hold them legally responsible for the crimes that they have committed overseas and the murders and everything, because they're fully, we don't have a government. We're living under a coup. You got to understand that right now, is that these are not our representatives.
It's not we the people,
really. That's
for sure.
Yeah, we're past that, I think, by a long shot. And the other thing was, back to the medical aspect. Oh, I had something to say. I just came up with it and lost it again.
You gotta have a piece of paper and pen. You gotta take notes, Wesley. By the way, did I spell your name right? Wesley?
Yeah, you did. So
I put from Florida. I was gonna put from Florida, but you speak so cleanly, I can't even make fun of you because you're not one of those guys.
Well, you could say Washington State, but that's
What do you mean Washington State?
That's where I was born and raised.
What am I, pasta from New York? No, we're in Florida.
Well,
I mean, your voice though, so kinda.
This is what Floridians sound like.
If I was from Australia, you wouldn't let me move to Florida and say I'm a Floridian. You'd still call me out on being an Aussie. So, but
once again, come on, Wesley. And by the way, I do agree. Like, why can't we today all get in the streets? Why isn't there that thought process? Like, we are so defeated and deflated as a society to get out in the streets, grab signs, grab pitchforks, and go, stop the fucking bombing right now. Stop. And if you don't stop, we're going to do what they did. We're going to storm the castle. Stop. Why isn't that even the thought process of Americans?
It is, but the problem is revolutions require funding, right? Like, as terrible as it sounds, you can't raise an army to siege a building without...
Explain the Bolshevik Revolution then.
There was still funding behind it. And back then, society was a lot more agrarian. So you had people that had surpluses of food that they were able to provide, right? So, like, if we get 1 million people to Washington, D.C. to storm the Pentagon in, like, a theoretical situation... how are we going to feed those people? How are we going to supply the bedding for those people to stay in the parking lots, for example?
All right, here's Wesley. Let's see. Wesley wants to answer that. Go ahead, Wesley.
That's what they want. They want to be able to suppress us, and that's the problem. They want more uprisings, because then they could throttle down and go militant on us, and then we're just full-on cows at that point. But the other thing back to the healthcare factor. They, like, you get $300 to help bury somebody when they die, even though they've been paying into Social Security for your whole life or whatever. So, like, your kids, if you die and they've been garnishing your wages for your whole life and you'd never get any Social Security from it hardly, and you die, that money doesn't go back to your family. That doesn't go to your kids. So I'm kind of concerned as to, like, the system is really, it's a rake, and certain people don't have to pay into it, and it's a joke. And basically, we should make it, first off, that people in Congress don't get any more than the average Joe. There shouldn't be a 2-tier system right there. That shit's got to stop now. And
his crip motherfuckers would not want to do that job anymore. Then the problem would take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you'd end up with people that were actually,
exactly.
More of a
they're for the right reasons. Yeah. And I go to Congress then.
Exactly. So, anyways, then that's kind of the thing. There should be more than just term limits, but there's a lot going on, and fixing it ain't easy. It is not easy, but then of course you're trying to do fix in a global situation where other forces in the world will take action to, there's other forces that will opportunize on whatever goes on in America during the fix-it process. So, and basically the problem is Wall Street. Like, they up and down us all the time for their own profits. And the other thing is, I was mentioned on here before, the party at Jeff Bezos is on January 26, 2020, where Bill Gates and Mitt Romney and all those guys got together. And they all ended up, and also Jared Kushner and Ivanka, and all those people made billions of dollars that year. They 10x their profit margin for that year. Like, they went from $7 billion to 70 in months, and they knew what was going on, and Trump was saying, "Oh yeah, no, the market's going to be fine. Everyone calm down." And of course, their market managers were at the same party, and so they basically took all their toxic shares, put it into, and this is crazy, but they basically moved it into the holdings of the 401ks of the police and stuff like that. Who would think that you could rob from every cop in America and they wouldn't do shit? These people, that's how crazy they are. They are. And no one, we had the problem with cops is they're cops. We don't have enough detectives. And this is America. This is
problem with the cops is that most of your laws are written for the rich to steal from the poor, and you're getting paid by those in power to spy and to do what they need to do to infringe on your civil liberties for the rich. That's the problems with the police. The police departments are set up to be that way, right? It's the rich taking advantage of the poor and protecting. They work for a certain class. They don't work for all of us.
It's not an easy job. It's super high stress. I mean, honestly, I think that police officers should have to do like 5 years of EMT before they even get to be a police officer. I think it should be a graduation process to like a higher pay and more time off and everything else.
They should also live in the communities they police. They should live in the communities they police. Back in the days, the cop walking around was like, "Hey, Joe. Hey, Bill. How you doing? You coming over Sunday for dinner?" "Yeah, I'll see." That shit doesn't exist anymore.
No, it hasn't existed in a long time. Most cops don't live in the communities.
That's that could have positive and negative. Then again, you have these small towns where the cops are tracking their girlfriend on the flock cameras and stuff like that. So you can tell that there's definitely
but that's because there's a system in play that doesn't hold them accountable. That's still, I would still, once again, I would weigh the benefits of having people have an invested real estate, invested in their community because it's their community. You know what I'm saying? That's
I've got
to take stock and agency in it because it's their community.
I've got a simple solution for cleaning up some of this cop shit. If they have lawsuits against them, like a cop has a lawsuit, wrongful death, whatever, it comes out of their fucking pension instead of our tax money. They clean their own fucking house.
Yeah.
And they maybe have it definitely affect their income. Like, you just lost like $1,000 for your next 5 years out of your income, like every year, something like that. There definitely has to be, but at the same time, you also don't want them to hesitate. You're talking about split-second decisions. It's such a Then again, there's also more standoff things. If you could fly a drone into somebody's house with a telephone and be like, let's have a conversation about how to resolve this from a distance.
Can I say something about that, Wesley? Though we talk about there are those times, split decisions, and we see that, and that's highlighted. But 95% of the bullshit that comes from cops come from the cops themselves because they fucking took the job because they have these ego problems, right? And they have to use a badge to actually fill a void that they have with their own personal life. And you see this all the time. 95% of the problems coming from cops are the way they act and the cops themselves.
And I think that made them be EMTs for 5 years, that would weed that out.
It's because of, so that idea of like the attitude of the police and the police themselves creating the problems, it's because of the birth of what they are able to do, right? Like, so the function, there's a whole bunch of different functions a police officer or the police institutions do, but the institutions themselves and the people in them are the problem. Like, you have the same people responsible to respond to, let's just say, a like local shooting as the ones that are pulling someone over for a traffic violation, right? So I think that the institution itself creates this issue because it attracts the people that want to have that power. And if you broke up like who does what where, and like you didn't have the police, but you had the traffic authority, you had the emergency response teams, and you had different institutions that served the different functions that one police officer is supposed to do, that would go a long way. Because right now you literally just attract megalomaniacs. Like, you attract people that want to exercise power over others. So you have to remove a lot of that power by creating just fractionalized versions of each one of these institutions.
Remember, ex-military get fast-tracked. So, you know, and these people have to take less de-escalation training than someone who works at McDonald's. It's not.
Yeah.
And then to be a hairdresser, you have to go through like 5 times the amount of hours of training than you do for a police officer. It's ridiculous. And by the way, I just want to say, Wesley, and I'll give you the last 30 seconds, last 60 seconds if you want, but all the problems that we're talking about today, right? We're so far beyond the pale. We're so far down the road that it's going to take a major deconstructing. Like, we have to just blow shit up and start over from scratch. I saw people in the chat going, well, you know, the military industrial complex is what's keeping, you know, the United States economic system afloat, right? Like, if you destroy that, then you destroy the whole economy. Well, everything needs to be fucking destroyed anyways. We have to get back to basics. We have to get back into growing our own vegetables and making our own food and all that other shit. I mean, unfortunately, we are no longer at the position where we can just fix a few things and it will be okay. We have to deconstruct everything. Now, if you want to call me a Marxist because of that, fine. I'm just looking at the problems in front of me today and saying that it's so far gone, Wesley, that we got to destroy shit and rebuild it back up. Whether it be healthcare, policing, everything, schooling, food supply. It's all so screwed up and been gamed and screwed over for so long that we have to start over from scratch. And the first thing we have to do is fix the system in which we pick the people who are going to represent what we want to do. Go ahead, buddy.
I think the body politic needs a surgeon and not just a full-on broad brush wipe out and resurrect, because I don't think that works. I'm not going to say bad things about the cops, because I think I've gone to weddings with a bunch of, I have friends and whatnot that have gone on to become police officers, and each individual, as some of those people get weeded out just because of the nature of the system. There's a lot of different factors, and so it is not an easy thing to deal with at all, and you're dealing with people on their worst day every day, and they make mistakes. But there was also a push at a time where they were saying that, we need special medical people to go in for people that are mentally having a mental issue. And that the laws have been built over time where citizens have rights when dealing with the government. There's an interface there. And if you say, they were medically in distress, and you just wipe out all those rights, and you create a whole other branch of the government that now has the right to not recognize the rights that you have, and they can now just drug you and drag you away and put you in a padded cell for months on end and be, so there's definitely, you can't, some people come up with fixes that you can still see flaws in the fixes, and how to deal with.
You know what good cops do, by the way, Wesley? You know what good cops do?
Good cops quit.
What?
They quit. That's what the majority. And I get it. We have these isolated situations. He was mentally ill. The cop shot him. All this. Well, he couldn't have done that. We should have brought in a specialist. These are, once again, it's in the minority. The majority of issues that are caused by the police departments are caused because they didn't hire the right people. They didn't train the right way. Our society is fucked up on top of it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a bigger problem, and we need to deconstruct it from the root and start back all over again. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you, Wesley, for calling in. And the next wedding you go to, invite me. I'll go with you. I'll be a great roll dog. Let's leave the cop at home and bring the pasta.
Did you know that Jeffrey Dahmer, the cops, he had a victim who he had drilled a hole in the guy's head. That guy escaped. The Minneapolis police officers found the guy wandering down the street and returned him to Jeffrey Dahmer's house.
Yep.
I don't know which cop that was, because maybe there's something wrong there. Maybe that was early Eric Chauvin's career. I don't know. Anyways, I'll leave you with that.
I never heard that story before. That's crazy.
Oh, I do have. Do you remember that Sonia Massey thing that happened in where I live in Illinois, like a year ago or so, maybe a little more.
1 second.
So the cop, they actually put him in jail. Like, they convicted him and everything. Well, he just got, I forgot his name. I can't remember.
What did he do? So that's what I'm saying.
He went in this woman's house and he ended up killing her. Like, she was in distress mentally. She called the police to get them over there, and he ended up killing her. He killed her. I mean, the body cam, it's pretty clear. But so he was trying to get out because he has stage 4 cancer, and they denied him. So he still gets some justice.
Yeah, and I mean there are some functions of police that are critically important. Like my brother, I guess half brother, not step brother, half brother is he's a local sheriff in the county that I grew up in, and his entire thing, his whole career has been working in the children abduction unit. And he has literally led raids that have gotten dozens of children out of storage lockers as they get trafficked through our county, because Ohio has less Wexner. We're a huge trafficking state. So there are functions that are necessary, and people that believe in what they do that either just completely ignore the bad stuff because they just want to do their thing, They're like, this is what I believe in and it's what I'm going to do. Or you have the people that are there because they think they can make a difference. And then those are the cops that quit, you know, the ones that try to change the system from the inside. And so, like, I just think that the solution is to create smaller institutions that specifically focus on these things and to have more community involvement. Like, there was a time where society existed before police officers, right? Because most of the Western policing model was built by the British in London. And it was in response to aristocrats being tired of being pickpocketed and having the only way to stop a pickpocket was through what they called the crier system, to where someone would literally just yell, "Stop that thief," and then other people would go and try to wrestle that guy to the ground. Like, that is the literal roots of policing. You have
That's not according to KRS. KRS says overseer, officer. He says it comes from slavery. Overseer is officer.
Well, the British policing system was built before the American institution of slavery even existed, right?
Yeah, well,
and the ironic part is every iteration of Western policing that has existed has largely been driven by the criminals, to where you had like John Whitaker, I think was his name, for example. He was the thief taker of London. It was before there was a full public institution for policing. And the way that it existed was basically a bounty system where, like, someone would steal from you and you would pay the crime taker to solve the crime, and then he would give you your money back. And it turned into a system of extortion, to where the thief taker general was the guy running the criminal networks, you know, and then he would use that as a way to extort the aristocrats, say like, hey, you know, I can find the guy that stole your family heirloom watch, but you're going to have to give me this money, or you're going to have to go buy a new watch that costs twice as much. You know, so even like the deep roots of policing all trace back to organized crime to begin with.
I just think it changed with slavery over here and how they kind of. Where did he go?
He's still
One second, I'm still here. I turned my camera
doing?
off for a second. I got my kiddo here with me, and I don't want her to be on camera.
Oh, gotcha. Do you need to take some time?
No,
Or?
no. We're okay.
You're good.
I'm
You're
fine.
good. I'm going to play a video. We're getting into the next point. And guys, if you want to call in, 561-247-2721. That's 561-247 Bernie Sanders Blackjack. By the way, Rumble's been kicking YouTube's butt today. Rumble's got almost 40 people watching over there, and YouTube's got 30, 31, 32. Where you at, YouTubers? We can add this to here to the Andrew, I want you to watch this too, though. You got the volume up so you can hear it as you walk around?
He can hear it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the other day. This was on Judge Knapp. That's Douglas McGregor and Andrew Knapp. And listen about what I'm hoping stories like this can really start moving the needle, because I feel like, you know, during the Iraq War, there were so many more voices. At least it was more visual. It was present to me that there was more people out there pushing back against that war than there are this war. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, once again, it's just Tuesday. We're bombing another country. Like, it's okay. But let's listen to this story, because maybe more of this will get people upset and pissed off.
Well, I can tell you only what I found through open source material. I haven't seen anything classified, but I am reliably told that roughly 70 Israeli so-called commandos or special forces, special operations force types, along with some number of Americans, the total number was 70. How many were Israeli and how many were American mercenaries that were joined in this operation? I don't know what the exact breakdown was, but it was obviously mostly Israeli. And they infiltrated successfully into Yemen, but they were tracked from the moment they infiltrated by overhead satellites, presumably Russian. And the Russians provided this information to the Iranians, who immediately telegraphed it to the Houthis. And whatever you say about the Houthis is that they're tough hombres on the battlefield. They set up an ambush and they killed all of them. And there is footage of the dead. And I haven't had a chance to examine.
Okay. I don't know how many Americans were in that, and Let me remove this. But how much of this stuff has to happen for us to stand back and say enough is enough? Like, we have to stop this. This has to stop right now. How many more Americans? Because I hate the fact that, you know, you sometimes I'll get this mindset that, you know, we have it too comfortable over here. We don't know what it's like, what the conditions that they're living under in the Middle East from the bombs that are dropped in Iran that are happening, whatnot. Like, we don't know until we have to feel the same thing that they have to feel. We're not going to change. The Pentagon says over 750 U.S. troops were wounded during the war in Iran. And I'll say this again, like, I don't know, very suspicious. My Twitter got hacked shortly after I made a tweet talking from a source, sharing information from a source in Iran that said, and on Iranian TV in the very beginning, they were like, no, close to 200 to 250 U.S. members have been either hurt or killed, when our media was reporting 10. Shortly after, my Twitter was hacked and gone. Now we see that the Pentagon says over 750 U.S. troops have wounded during the war versus Iran. This is starting to come out. Sleepy had mentioned before the show that every country does this with every war and whatnot. I think it was when bodies were coming home in body bags to the Iraq war when people said enough is enough and started complaining about it. Gentlemen, what do we have to get to? What do we have to do for us to start demanding that we stop dropping bomb on women and children and having our troops get messed up for life going over there and doing this shit?
So I think it has to get a lot worse before it gets better. Honestly, I think it has to be I think they're going to attempt some type of Pearl Harbor event, so that way they can get U.S. casualty numbers to be closer to like the Ukrainian and Russian war casualty numbers, right? Because like you look at that war, and I remember like 6 months ago where it was like, okay, well, has there been, 750,000, 500,000, or 250,000 Ukrainians that have died? And like, was it 2 million Russians or 500,000 or 100,000, right, that had died? And I think people are so desensitized to it that they see even a number like this, like 750 people wounded. Like there were 750 people that would die in a shelling run in World War II. Like there were entire cities that were leveled and flattened. There were millions of troops thrown into a grinder to seize one shred of land, like Stalingrad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it has to do with the war of like the perception of scale. Like I think 750 people dying is fucking horrific or wounded because the psychological toll is literally like 10 times that number.
Yes.
But I think until people start seeing there was 100,000 American troops that died in a single day in a single battle.
We didn't even lose that in World War II, man.
Right. Well, I don't think to me, this isn't a war. You know what I mean? Like war in people's brains isn't 700.
There's no one on the ground.
Yeah, like 750, like even Iraq, like we had people on the ground, and like I have personal friends that are mentally traumatized, like literally cannot hold jobs, cannot function in society because of the conflict and the literal shit that they had to go through just to survive for 24 hours in a fucking blown up Humvee, And I think that it's the numbers of scale. Like Vietnam, for example, you had a ticker that was on your local news report that showed you as up to date as possible the number of American troops that had died to date since that began. And that was an extraordinary.
Oh, that's why they quit. That's why they quit doing that.
Yeah. and honestly, Vietnam didn't end because of public pressure directly. Vietnam ended because the soldiers started killing their officers.
Yep.
Like they were being told, like, you go here and do this. And they said, I'm fucking killing you. I am stealing a helicopter and I am flying to the base. And if those people tell me I can't go home, then I'm going to kill as many of them as I can until they send me to heaven. Right. And like you even have the My Lai massacre where you had an American helicopter sergeant, like someone that ran an entire fleet of U.S. helicopters getting into like a direct battle with another U.S. battalion in the jungles of Vietnam because there were people that literally massacred everyone in a village, started assaulting all of the women and children that were there. Hugh Thompson showed up with his helicopter crew. They shot a kid. An American soldier shot a Vietnamese kid that Hugh Thompson was holding. And then Hugh Thompson called in his air support to fight American soldiers in the jungles of Vietnam, right? So it's situations like that, like civilian pressure creates troop dissent, and troop dissent are the things that push back against the actual militarism, like in a real way to stop the bombs. And like I think it's the Lincoln, right? The USS Lincoln that's been at sea for almost like over 250 days at this point, the literal longest deployment of any warship in American history. And
it's like they can go longer. Like, no, they can't. You don't understand, dude.
Yeah. And those people they're done with it. Like that will be what ends the war in Iran, is the soldiers saying, I cannot do this anymore. I will not do this anymore.
Well, they're hungry too. I mean, that'll come sooner than later if they don't start feeding them better. I mean, these are guys that need like 5,000 calories a day, and they're getting probably 2,000 calories on a fucking good day. Yeah. Like that's starvation shit when you're having to put out that many calories on the work you have to do on these things.
Yeah,
and so they're starving them. It sucks.
Like the work we do as trying to build dissent about the wars has to be more targeted not at ourselves but at the soldiers themselves, which is why I think I can't remember the dude's name. I want to say maybe Ryan, but like Abby Martin's husband or boyfriend or whatever his name is.
Mike Preisner.
Yeah, right. Mike Preisner. I think that's why the work he does is so important. Like there's literally a U.S. airman that has been arrested in the Capitol protesting the war in Iran like 3 times, has been arrested on the Capitol steps. And like for us, we're like, oh, cool. You know, like there's a soldier that was on active duty that's standing up. But like that gets circulated in these Facebook groups for these soldiers. Right? Like my buddy's been out of the Navy for years at this point, but he can tell you like, okay, I know this person that's running this ship. I know this person that's still running this ship, and shows me like these are the Navy's social medias of the sailors that have created groups that are dissenting against the actual commanders on these ships. And so like, I guess to like bring it home so other people can talk, the idea is we have to reach the soldiers where they're at and tell them like, hey, we support you standing up against this.
Yeah. Well, I think Nick Cruz, socialist, excuse me, socialist MMA and hotspot guy, you know, he talks people shouldn't be joining the military at all anymore. Like, stop joining the military. Like that's the first, no more joining the military. But you know, we have all these kids that are coming out of high school with no job, nowhere to go, with nothing. So no money for college. So they go join the military to try to get that funding. And now they're thrown into the meat grinder.
Dude, my best friend, her kids, you know, he's in his mid-teens. He wants to go in the fucking military. So it's not just that. Like, we're so goddamn brainwashed and propagandized
Video
in this
games.
country. That, yes, Call of Duty, all that shit. So you've got a lot of kids that they've romanticized military service so damn much that you still have quite a few people that are going to go into that, man. It's not just the poverty draft anymore.
Yeah.
And with the poverty draft, that is the absolute worst way to get people to join the military. Like, it's an effective way. Like, you get people to do it because there is no other hope for them. But
retention rate sucks.
Right. You don't want people to join the military because they feel hopeless. You want people to join the military because they believe in what they're fighting for. Because then you have the, like, I don't know what a good word would be, but like the like babyfication of the military, to where it's like, oh, you know, we can't do this. Like, you can't say mean things, blah, blah, blah. Like, people should want to be in the military to protect the other people that exist that they're defending, if that makes sense. Like, you don't want someone to join the military because they want to go to college. You want someone to join the military because they care about their neighbors and they want to defend them from enemies.
Have you heard about the GTA 6 stuff?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, well, if you re-enlist for 2 years, we'll give you 4 days off to go play GTA 6. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like a real thing. Like
cheeseburgers for vaccines. I'll believe it.
Yes, that's what it reminded me of. But I'm like, oh, 4 days to go, like, bomb brown people for fucking 2 years. What the? Who the hell is gonna want that?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's to get on the marketing train, right? It's just to be injected.
I mean, these are people this is like re-enlistment. So these are people that have already been through this shit. Like, I don't see a lot of them going, oh yeah, that sounds totally worth it. I guarantee they're going to have a hell of a time keeping people on these carriers. They're not going to want to re-enlist after
every
this
person I know that has come out of the military has reoccurring nightmares about re-enlisting. Every single one. Like people that fought in like Iraq that were like naval seamen that were literally the Humvee dudes driving through the deserts, fucking sweeping IEDs. Every single one of them has nightmares about re-enlistment. So I don't think that anything at all, any incentive could get these people back in there, short of you either join or go to jail. Like you either re-enlist or you're going to prison. And what are they going to put
stop loss
PTSD motherfuckers back into prison? You know what? Like that's not going to solve any problems.
I don't know. Stop loss might actually get Americans on board with stopping this shit. Because I remember they had to do stop loss in the second Iraq War.
Yeah,
or Afghanistan, one or the other. And the troops started getting a little salty about that because they were like, "Hey, my term's up. I'm done with this shit." And they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're here for 2 more years."
Yeah.
So they'll do that again.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, they're kind of doing that now, anyways.
I mean, they're technically soldiers are government property.
Yeah.
So they're gonna screw these young kids as much as they can.
And like, I really don't think it'll change until they bring, like, on a big scale, until they bring back a draft because we have an actual ground invasion that's unmanageable through air fire. I think that's going to be a tipping point too, is when they start mailing out draft cards and telling everybody like, hey, this is the date that you have to go and die.
Oh yeah, people will start getting out in the streets.
Because the statement that you made, Pasta, the do not join the military, that is a violation. That was the first violation of the Espionage Act that came into existence by Eugene Debs. So whoever, and I think it's great that people say it, but people don't know that you are legally not allowed to dissuade people from joining the military. That's why Eugene Debs got put in jail as the first person ever charged under the Espionage Act.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The first carve out of the First Amendment was based on you cannot tell people not to join the military. That is the first.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And that's where the idea of you can't yell fire in a theater comes from. It was that judge in the Eugene Debs case that said that, as he ruled that Eugene Debs violated the Espionage Act for advocating for people not to join the military.
Well,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody better tell Nick Cruz. They're going to show up at his door.
Well, I think it's important to say that. I think it's important to violate the Espionage Act because it shouldn't exist, right? Like it shouldn't exist at all. Like the Constitution lays out very firmly what treason is, and espionage is treason. Like,
dude, what have we used it for? To jail whistleblowers and publishers and journalists and activists, whatever. Like it's never used for what it for spying is what they claim it was made for. But
and it was used to the part that makes me so mad is it was used to go after Trump. He got into office and then didn't immediately executive order it away.
Yeah, and arrested Assange.
We've had this discussion. This is where we're at.
I mean, I hope Andrew's right, and more people that are currently in the military have their eyes open. I don't think that's the case, but I hope he's right.
Well, they did sabotage some of the toilets on the USS Ford.
There's signs. There's definitely signs.
There's signs that
But until I don't know. I've known a lot of people in the military that are out, and they're still gung ho about it, man. Like it's strange. You either come
Knights
back
of the
fucked
Malta
up as
dude,
hell,
right?
Or
what's his name again? Knights of the Malta guy.
Exile the Knights.
What's your real name again? You've called into the show before.
I don't know. Oh yeah.
What's his name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Forgot.
I think
Knights of Malta.
Choosy.
Choosy. Thank you. Choosy talked to Karen about this. Like, hey, what do you think? Do you think it's a possibility? Because I think at this point, to kind of add on to what Andrew's talking about, it's one thing for the foot soldiers to say, I'm not going to let you use me as a pawn anymore. I'm going to cause havoc until you get me out of here. It's another thing to get the leaders in the military to start turning, because then that would really, really scare the fucking ruling class.
Well, the leaders in the military, you could put into the same category as people on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News. Like, not that they're told what to do, but they wouldn't get to those positions if they weren't, unless they were already of that mindset. Like you had,
you got to kiss ass to get that high up.
You had a naval commander leading up, like a dude that ran an entire battle fleet in the lead up to the Venezuelan conflict that resigned. That said, like,
I was going to say, we have a dude
because he didn't want to get into an unconstitutional war with Venezuela in South America. Right. And then the other example that I know of, like from the Navy, is during COVID, there was the guy who ordered his ship to port instead of going into another patrol route because like 30 or 40% of the ship was sick. Like almost everyone on the ship that had a vital task to do was sick. And so they couldn't carry on. And he ordered his ship to port and then got fired for it because he went and did a press conference when he showed up there and said, like, we have a whole bunch of people sick on our boat. We need to take care of our crewmen before we can take care of our business.
Yeah.
And he was, I can't remember his name, but he was like one of the most respected people in the U.S. Navy. That it wasn't like a grandstand, right? Like it wasn't like he was like, we're not going to go to blah, blah, blah territory.
Like, I don't want my people dead.
Right. He literally said like, hey, I just want to take care of our guys. So the people on the USS Lincoln that are in those positions of control and command, they have examples from modern history of what happens when you put your sailors over your mission. And so they're like, you know, I'm 4 years from retirement. I'm 2 years from retirement. I've been doing this for 20 and I need to be 24 and out. Like, you know, I'll let my people eat this shit so that way I can collect my check. Because when you're in an active conflict zone, you get paid twice as much. And when you're making, you know, $250,000 a year from being in an active conflict zone, that gets multiplied into your pension. So the longer that commander stays in that active conflict zone before he leaves the military on retirement because he's sick of it, that's more money he's going to make as he sits at home post-service.
No matter what, when you're on a sub, you always get hazardous pay because the job you're doing is considered hazardous. So if you're on a boat and it's out at sea, you're getting that extra money. That's
and
what they convince you to do
get
to
extra
get your
money from specifically going into conflict zones as well. Like the Gulf of Aden is one of them. And the Strait of Hormuz has always been one. So where if you were part of a naval crew that sailed within a certain range, while the time you are in range of that, you get paid extra. So you had commanders during like the war in Iraq and Afghanistan and the conflicts in Syria and the Middle East that would literally just make sure they drove their boat into conflict zones for 4 or 5 days. So that way that whole month's pay was turned into hazardous pay.
I think that you are wrong when you call it the Strait of Hormuz. It is not the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know. You said you've been out of it. You play a little video. It's the Strait of America. And we literally have idiots out there. And this is why I talk so much shit on the right now, because it seems like a runaway
this guy
train
looks
with
familiar.
Fucking idiots. Sorry for cursing. Here is, I think his name is Brylin. I don't know. Whatever his name is. Here he is. Strait of America.
Gulf of America, because the president just put a bumper sticker on it and said, we're actually going to take this back and we're going to be proud of our country. I think we can call it the Strait of America and have an opportunity to have American exports there, to have the opportunity to make sure that it's controlled by a democracy as opposed to a terrorist state. Why do we let Iran continues to do this? Why do we continue to, bow down to them and allow them to continue to do this and tariff us for what, decades now? No, I don't think we should let this happen. And I think the president's right. Why have we been doing this? Why has nobody else called this out? But of course, the second the orange man does it, it's of course bad. The Gulf of America.
Dude, I got ball hair older than this guy.
For real.
Like, dude, we cooed their fucking country, but like, I don't know, 20 years before this little twerp was alive. Like, he needs to just sit the fuck down.
And I mean, that dude, he's probably paid to have that opinion, or he wouldn't be there if he did.
He looked like he was 10.
Yeah, but it's not just people who are getting paid. There are people who really go along with this stuff. I know people that live in this town that are all for that. That when they hear Gulf of America on like a intercom system on a plane, that they would go cheering and whatnot. And this American exceptionalism does live and exist in our society. And there's a bunch of idiots that go along with this stuff. He might be paid to say this stuff, but there are still a lot of people who buy into and follow this shit too as well.
Yeah,
that's absolutely the biggest problem. The American exceptionalism. I can't fathom for a second calling it the Strait of America.
Dude, the thing that burns me the most is when he said a democratic country needs to be responsible. We overthrew their democratically elected leader in 1979. It's like, does this? I'm gonna shut up about it, but it's just so dumb. Dude, I am shocked that Iran never charged anything going through there.
Right. Because
I just assumed they did.
They didn't think that they could. They didn't think they had the power to do it. But we showed them that they can. So now they are. You know?
Oops.
But you know what?
Dude, we did the Rome.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we got to be careful about that too as well. Because there was James Fishback was on that show Surrounded with Destiny. And once again, he made the argument, the fact is that Donald Trump put the handcuffs on Iran. When Joe Biden got back in, the handcuffs were lifted off. And therefore, Hamas was funded by Iran, and that's the biggest problem. Well, first of all, the statement's untrue, right? Like, they're not the only people who fund Hamas, and I don't even know if they do fund Hamas. It's a Shia government and a Sunni militia, right? They have funding from other places, other whatnot. But the fact is that it's in the mindset that you can punish a sovereign nation because you don't like the actions they're doing. And if you don't do that, you're weak. If you didn't act like Donald Trump and punish Iran, then you let Iran just go ahead and fund terrorism. And, you know, they're controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and it's terrorists that are controlling it. The mindset of that is just so scary to me. This is their national sovereignty. Why are they acting this way? They're acting this way because of things that Sleepy just said. We overturned their government. We removed their leader that got elected and stuff like that. There's a reason why they're acting this way, and most Americans should focus on why they are acting this way, because it usually goes back to, you know, all roads lead to Rome, right? Like, it usually goes back to American foreign policy and intervention. Mm-hmm. Iran is acting a certain way because of our original actions, not because they're inherently evil and Muslim and bad. That's the mindset that we need to get away from. It's upsetting to me that most Americans can't pick up on that shit.
It's because it hasn't, like, America's just been so insulated, like, by design from international conflict. Like, we've put people out to the world to be killed in international conflicts, but, like, America hasn't been invaded. America hasn't been bombed in the modern era. Like, Americans, like, the only time that Americans have been bombed in the modern era is when there were fucking coal miners that got bombed by sheriffs, or people in the inner cities of Chicago that got bombed by police, right? Like, those are the only times that America has been bombed. And so people don't know what it's like to have a generational memory of having someone mess with your country. And that's really the perspective that we're missing, is like, we're all.
They lost something like 500,000 people or 800,000 or something in the Iraq-Iran war that we funded.
Which was
so. I mean, you know, like we've killed so many of their people, man. Like, what do you think they're gonna like us? Yeah. If someone came into this country and killed 800,000 of us, do you think we'd like them? No.
I mean, you had the CIA and Mossad use a fucking American-built terror cell, Al Qaeda, to blow up 2 buildings, hit the Pentagon with a missile, and shoot an airplane down over Pennsylvania. 3,000 people died tragically. And, like, that's still the cultural zeitgeist of, like, we have to be here because we lost these lives in 9/11, you know?
No, we wanted to make money off the Middle East, man. That's what it's always been about.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got to wrap up the show. I don't know what's going on in YouTube today. There's a lot of people going to work, getting out there, having a good time. Rumble kicked YouTube's butt today by a lot. So I don't know what's up with that, guys, but the YouTube
Good job,
peeps,
Rumble.
Yep, see, good job, Rumble. But YouTube peeps, I'm going to have to pick it up somehow.
It's a
guys.
Friday. People are probably out and about.
It's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got shit to do. I'm going to get you high. Andrew Ziegman, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Ziegman. My DMs are always open. Tag me in anything, and I'll usually see it because I don't really talk to anyone on there. I'm not the most active on Twitter, but that's the only social media platform I check out on a regular basis. Beyond that, just fucking stay happy and love the people in your life. You know?
Yep. I love you, brother, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Love you too, man. Thank you again. Like, thank you for asking me to do this. Like, this is,
bro, please.
You know, like, I love it.
I love having an opportunity to talk to Andrew again.
Yeah. Everybody I asked, I didn't get a chance to ask one person because I never got her on the phone to ask, but everybody else I asked, they all said yes, and they all been rocking it here and there. Let me know if in advance if you need a day off too, because now we got people wanting to come on the show to co-host, and I can plug them when people need off. So let me know when you're ready. Yeah.
Even if I'm not, if you want to bring like someone else on a Friday and just have it be me.
Thank you for telling me what I can do with my show, Andrew.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you for giving me permission to run shit the way I want to run shit on Pasta to Go. Okay? Appreciate that, brother.
I appreciate you, homie. Have a good weekend, man.
We do. We have a meeting. Some of us have a meeting after this show here.
A
we gotta wrap it up
meeting.
with the meeting. Okay? Love you, Andrew. Seriously.
Take it easy, guys.
Love you, brother. All right, guys. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. I say that like Nacho Libre. You guys are picking that up, right? Like when he says
a little bit. I hear it a little bit.
Fight your friend because it says in the Bible that we mustn't wrestle our neighbors. That's what I've been doing. I don't know if you guys been, you make me feel sad. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you, let's reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Let's share a meal, have a conversation, or just simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together, we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and the peace growing. I want to thank Roger from New Jersey, Wesley from Florida, Kat called yesterday, right? Dave from Melbourne. Who else? We have one more caller that I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Who else called me? We have Wesley, Roger, Bob. How do I miss Bob from Eastern Tennessee, man? Thank you for calling on in. Guys, thanks for making the show for what it is. Thank you to all the people in our chat, all our producers out there and stuff like that. Thank you. Special thank you to our executive producer, Gabriel Freedom, always holding it down, showing you all the links. If you guys want to help out, every little bit helps. We do appreciate it. And I love you, Sleepy J. Thank you for riding and die. Thank you for bringing the new music. We are going to continue to work on things on the future moving forward. You can see we got the new phone system so we can let the person stay on and ramble, or we can say, hey, man, we got a couple people in the queue. We got to let you go. So remember, if you're out there watching the media or the news, forget them and come along to Drive Time with Pasta Jardula, Sleepy J, and all the rest of you guys out there. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Not tomorrow.
No,
we'll see you
Monday.
on Monday. Have a great weekend and peace.